All right, welcome to Rainmaker Training and Coaching, episode 641. Went back in my calendar and looked at when we started these calls. It was Survive to Thrive. And that was in April of 2020. And it was something that I created in order to stay in touch with all of you during COVID. And, it's interesting because I'm not sure I would have had the idea otherwise. So I'm grateful for that. Am I grateful for COVID? No, I didn't say that. Don't hear that. So episode 641 of Rainmaker Training and Coaching, also known as Survive to Thrive. And I'm going to share a 3-step model for you that you can implement starting today in order to hit your goal for 2023. This is a great time to have this conversation. And I'm doing this on request by Clarissa Coddington. So hopefully she's on the call. I don't see her now, but hopefully she's here. If not,
I'm here. Good morning.
There you go, girl. This is for you. Now, if I were sitting down and I were having a one-to-one conversation with you, and I asked you, what is your goal for 2023? Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People teaches us to begin with the end in mind. So if we're talking about how much money do you want to make? Okay, it's the end of 2023. How much money did you make? How much money did you earn? And more importantly, how much money did you keep? Now, let's say that your goal is 200,000 because that's how I did my math. And if your goal is double that, then double the numbers I'm going to share with you. If your goal is triple that, then triple the numbers I'm going to share with you. If your goal is to net $1 million, really super simple. Take everything I'm sharing with you and multiply it by 5. All right. Beginning with the end in mind, my goal is to net $200,000. I have an operating expense that I'm going to use a 30% calculation in order to determine what my overhead is going to be. And that's a number that we use from thousands of interviews with successful real estate agents across the country to find out what most of them are spending on what most of their expenses are. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. So we're using 30%. So in order to net $200,000, I'm going to gross 260. Now, if my average commission is $10,000, that means 26 closed sales. Now, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to leave it up long enough for you to take a picture or do a screenshot, and we're going to come back to it again. Here's what I'm working from right now, all right? And I'll scroll up so you can see the bottom of the page. There you go. Top of the page, working my way down to the bottom of the page. Let me see if I can come out. There you go. Want to take a screenshot? There it is. All right, you can edit me out of that, by the way. All right, 26 sales. It's 13 sales on the listing side and 13 sales on the buyer side. Ideally, I want my business to be 50-50. So I'm looking at 50% of my business coming from the listing side, which would be 13 closed sales. I'm going to use an equation of 75% in order to determine how many listings I need to take. In other words, I'm going to take the number of listings I want to close. I'm going to divide it by 0.75. And what that's going to tell me is I need 18 listings in order to sell 13. Now, depending on where you live, depending on your market, that number may be right and it may be completely wrong. I would tell you here in South Florida for the last 2 years, pretty much 95 to 100% of the listings you took would sell. We're moving into a market where that number is no longer going to be true. And I would rather be conservative and take too many listings than not enough. So let's go with 75%. So I'm going to take 13 closings divided by 0.75, and that's going to tell me I need to take 18 seller listings in order to close 13. Now, conversion ratio from an appointment to a listing taken. The number you should shoot for is 75%. Now, your number may be a little bit lower and it may be higher. That's great. But if you use 75% as a closing conversion ratio, then that means in order to take 18 seller listings, you're going to need to go on 20 4 listing appointments. You're going to take 18 divided by 0.75 and round it off. It's going to tell us that you need 24 seller listing appointments. Now, on the buyer side of this formula, the numbers are a little bit different. In order to close 13 buyers, we need 16 buyer agency agreements. So you're meeting with a buyer and you're doing a buyer consultation. And when they hire you to represent them in the search and purchase of a new home, you're going to use a buyer agency agreement. It's a loyalty agreement. And on average, 80% of those buyer agency agreements will end up in a closed sale. 20% won't for various reasons, which means I'm going to take 13 divided by 0.80, and that tells me I need 16 buyer agency agreements in order to close 13. Now, my conversion ratio from a buyer consultation to a buyer agency agreement signed is a little bit lower than it is on the listing side. And it's not lower because your skill is less. It's lower because you're going to find more buyers who are ready and willing, but not able. They're able and they're ready, but they're not willing. In other words, they don't qualify to buy a home right now. They think they do, but they don't. Or they don't qualify to work with you. Or they're not going to sign a buyer agency agreement. They're going to work with multiple real estate agents, and whoever finds them the home, that's who they're going to buy with. You don't want to work with those people. You want to work with people who are willing to hire you to represent them in the purchase of their home. So the number's a little bit lower. And the number I use is 60%. So if I want to close 16 buyers, I'm going to take that number. If I want 16 buyer agency agreements, I'm going to take that number divided by 0.60. And that tells me I need to sit on 27 buyer agent appointments, buyer consultations. All right, so we have 24 appointments on the seller side, 27 on the buyer side. That's a total of 51 appointments a year. Divided by 12, it's 4.25 appointments per month. A little bit more than one a week. Reasonable, reachable, absolutely realistic. And you want to double this number, double everything I just said. In other words, if your net goal is $400,000, you're going to go on 102 appointments or 8.5 per month. All right. Now, the next model that we use is called the lead generation model. And this model tells us how many conversations we need to have in order to get the number of leads we need, in order to get the number of appointments we need. The end result of the economic model was how many appointments do we need to go on. The end result of the lead generation model is how many people do we need to speak with? How many conversations do we need to have in order to get the number of appointments that we need? Now, it starts here at the top with Capture, Connect. It's not a lead unless you've captured their contact information, mailing address, phone number, email address. It's just a conversation. So at the top of the model is Capture, Connect. The next part of this model is Contact Capture. I'm so sorry. The top of the model is Contact Capture. This part is Connect. So we contact and capture, we connect, we convert to an appointment, or they go into nurture, which is follow-up. Now, we know that we need to sit on 51 appointments in order to close 26 sales. That was the goal, right? Right. In order to gross $260,000. Our contact to capture ratio is 1-in-4, meaning if you're having a conversation with someone, let's say you're calling for sell by owners, or you're calling expired listings, or you're door knocking, or you're circle prospecting, 1 out of 4 will go from a contact to a lead. So we're going to use a 1-in-4 ratio from contact to capture. Super important. I'm slowing down so you get that. Now, in order to figure out how many conversations we need to have. We take the total number of appointments, which is 51. We take the number of appointments times 50, which equals 2,550 leads. We're going to need 2,550 leads in order to close 26 sales. The next part of this equation is we know that 1 in 4 conversations will turn into a lead. So we're going to take 51, we're going to multiply it by 4. We're going to take 50, excuse me. We're going to multiply it by 4, which is 10,200. We're going to take 10,200 and we're going to divide that by 250 days. That's working 50 weeks, 5 days a week. And that's going to give us 40.8 contacts per day. Now, if those numbers are different than what I've shared with you in the past, if you've been a part of my call for the last 2.5 years, the reason the number is different is because the market's different. You're going to have to double down on your lead generation in order to get the same results. It's the market. If the market goes down and fewer homes are being sold, it only stands to reason that you're going to have to double down in order to get the same results. So in order to close 26 sales, we're going to need to go on 51 appointments. In order to go on 51 appointments, we're going to have 2,550 leads. In order to have 2,550 leads, we're going to have to talk to 10,200 people. 10,200 people divided by 250 days, those are working days, equals 40.8 conversations per day. Now let's go back to how we started. If I were sitting down with you and I asked you, what is your goal for 2023? And you said, my goal is to net $200,000. We would go through an exercise exactly like the exercise we just went through. And what you would have as a result is you would have a lead measure, not a lag measure. You would have an activity that is totally within your control. I'm slowing down again because this is important. You don't have control over how many listings you take every month. That's a lag measure. You don't have absolute control over how many homes you sell every month. It's a lag measure. But what you do control is how many conversations you have every day. And when you look at it like that and you focus on the activity and not the result, you will always succeed. At least it's a choice because you decide when you stop talking to people. If your goal is to talk to 40 people a day, you decide whether or not you hit that goal or not. In other words, success is a choice. And so is failure. Don't choose failure. All right, now, lead sources. I came up with 8 in order. If I'm working my database and my goal is to sell 26 homes, and I know that 10% of my database, and I'm being super conservative because it's actually 6 to 7%. However, it was 6% in 2021. And the market's shifting. So I'm going to use 10%. If my goal is to sell 26 homes, 10% conversion ratio working with people that I know. These are relationships. And I have a systematic communication system that I am using in order to communicate with everybody in my database. I'm going to need 260. There's your number. You're going to need 260 people that you are in relationship with. Those are sphere of influence, past clients, and advocates. Sphere of influence is anybody who knows you, knows you're a real estate agent. If they were going to buy or sell a home, they would possibly hire you. If they knew somebody who was going to buy or sell a home, they would possibly refer you. Sphere of influence. Past clients, obvious, people you've worked with in the past. Advocates, these are raving fans. These are people who send you referrals. They send you more than one referral a year. If somebody sends you 2 referrals a year, they're an advocate. Now, if you have somebody who is sending you a referral every month, you've got 12 referrals from them, they are a core advocate. It's important to know this because you want to have a different system for communicating with your core advocates than you do with past clients. I'm going to have coffee with them once a month. We're going to go out to lunch. I'm going to stop by their house and do a pop by and bring a gift. I'm going to make sure they know that I love and appreciate them. Major source of business. So if you're working your database with a goal of closing 26 sales, all you need is 260 contacts that you're systematically communicating with. All right. Internet marketing. This includes social media. It also includes YouTube. If my goal is to sell 26 homes, on average, according to NAR, 3% of leads, incoming leads, people who reach out to me because they saw one of my advertisements on social media or they watched one of my YouTube videos, 3% will end up closing. Now, what is it going to take to close 26 sales? It will take 867 leads. Divide it by 250 and you know how many leads you need to get every day. Now, when somebody responds to that advertising, you're back to this in the formula. You're back to contact and capture. So somebody sends you an email because they saw one of your advertisements and they're looking for more information. Awesome. You have a call to action, they respond, you reach out to them. They're not a lead yet. Now, if I call Annie and I speak with her and I'm like, Annie, I can send you more information on that. All I need is your email address. By the way, I'll be more than glad to send you a market update on your home. I'll send you a system that will give you notice every single month when homes are selling and what your home is worth. All I need is your mailing address. And if I wanted to give you a call, what's the best phone number for me to call you, Annie? Now, I've got a lead. It took 867 leads that I am systematically communicating with from an internet lead, social media lead, YouTube lead, in order to close 26 sales. Farming is a 50-to-1 ratio, which means if my goal is to sell 26 homes, I need 1,300 doors. I am mailing direct mail to each of these doors once a month, and there's a total of 1,300. If the cost to do this is $1 per door, then the cost every month is $1,300. However, when you systematically, over time, consistently and persistently communicate with 1,300 people through farming, you should close 26 sales in a year. In other words, the return is absolutely worth it. Now, asterisk on this. It might take 2 years to see the results. Don't give up after 6 months. Don't give up after a year. It might take a couple of years for you to see the results on this. If you're calling for sell by owners and expireds, on average, 20% of the people you meet with will turn into a listing, which means if my goal is to sell 26 homes, I am going to have 130 previews. Approximately 2 per week. And that simply means Angel, John Dietz, XYZ Real Estate. I noticed that you're selling your home by owner. If I had an offer on your home, would you want me to bring it? Angel says, yes, cool. All I need is an opportunity to pop by and take a look at your home so I could potentially bring you that offer. Now I have an appointment with her. I have an appointment to see her home. You can call it a preview if you want. I have an appointment to see Angel's home so I can potentially bring her an offer. The purpose of the appointment, remember from yesterday, is to build a foundation to follow up from. And now I'm going to follow up with Angel systematically, persistently, consistently. I'm never going to stop, no matter what, unless she sells her homes or lists it with another agent. Then I'll stop. Otherwise, I'm going to keep calling. And I know because I've done this over time for years, and listed over 100 homes a year doing this, 20% will hire you, which means if your goal is to sell 26, you're going to need 130 previews. Now that's all of your business coming from the listing side. You can recalculate the numbers if you're only looking for 50% of your business. Other sources of lead generation, and I'm going to wrap: circle prospecting, open houses, network groups, and referral partners. You know, speaking of referral partners, I'm wondering if I can do this quickly. Say a prayer that I get this right. All right, you should be looking at a picture of a whole bunch of envelopes. Annie, can you give me a thumbs up? You're nodding your head, so I know that. Okay. This is a friend of mine. His name is Craig Sarnoff. He works with Gonzalo Vargas. And right here, 1,800 handwritten holiday cards mailed to past clients, referral partners, and sphere of influence. 1,800. Think bigger. 7 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I'm working with Craig Sarnoff. I'm training and coaching. We're working together, and he's going to build a business through referral networks. That's his goal. And he starts collecting names of real estate agents, and he starts marketing to these real estate agents all over the country. That's his number one source of business. And now he's 5 years later, he's closing more than $5 million. No, more than $10 million a year in sales from agent to agent referrals. Think bigger. All right, take yourself off mic, off mute. Talk to me.
So when you're doing the calculations earlier, this is just solely assuming that each contact or each closing is deriving from just one, like each lead was giving you one transaction, not taking into account any investors that might buy multiple properties from you per year, or certainly any buyer that has a house to sell.
Yeah, Jason, 100%. You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
This is a basic model on earn $200,000. Cool. In order to earn $200,000, you're going to have to gross 260.
Right.
$10,000 per closing, you're going to need 26 closings. And based on the listing side and the buyer side of the business, in order to do that, you're going to need to go on 51 appointments.
Right.
In order to go on 51 appointments, this is how many leads you're going to need. In order to get this number of leads, this is how many contacts you're going to have to make on a daily basis. That's it. And the numbers change depending on everything you just said.
Right.
My goal today was to get everybody that's a part of this group a roadmap, a blueprint that they can plug and play starting today. Go get business.
And just for clarification, were you saying each of these other lead generation methods would, in and of itself, would obtain the same goal, or I guess I might have missed the goal number that you were trying to reach for door knocking? The goal,
Highest rate of return is database. So they're not all equal. The highest rate of return are your relationships. The low hanging fruit, if I'm looking for immediate opportunity, is for sell by owners and expireds. If I'm looking, what can I leverage? What's the highest leverage form of lead generation? Then I'm farming. I'm mailing to 1,300 doors every month. I can leverage that out. I'm paying for it, but I'm not actually doing the work. And over time, I know that 1 in 50 will hire me. So that's the highest leverage form of lead generation. Marketing, advertising, using lead aggregators, social media, YouTube, it's highly leveraged. The rate of return is between 2 and 3%, according to the National Association of Realtors. So the numbers change depending on what type of marketing you're doing. But
right.
Just as a basic platform, in order to close 26 sales, I'm going to have 40 conversations a day. Now, if your number is 30 conversations a day or 20 conversations a day, then awesome, good for you. Either sell more homes or work fewer hours.
Yeah. Are you saying that each agent should be trying to use at least, would you say 4 of those methods?
I gave you 8, and I would focus on 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
would not try to make a living in all 8. I would pick 3 or 4 that I feel are within my wheelhouse, where my strength is, what I enjoy doing. And careful with enjoy doing, because you're going to excuse away things that make you uncomfortable. For example, it's uncomfortable to knock on doors. Well, are you not knocking on doors just because it's uncomfortable, or are you not knocking on doors because it's just not for you? Okay.
Yeah, I get a lot of my business from YouTube, but I feel like it's kind of passive. It's stuff that I did in 2020, content that I created years ago that lives on the internet, and it's evergreen, and it's continued to become a resource for me for leads. And I closed quite a bit of those, but then it makes me feel like I want to double down on that. So then that's a lot of time invested in sitting down, trying to think about content to create that makes me feel like I want to take away from trying to commit my other time into other resources, like getting good at memorizing scripts and trying to find another method of lead generation that is more in my control, like what you're talking about with calling expireds and for sale by owners. And then actually recording the content and putting it out there, uploading it, editing it, all the things,
Jason, so this is a really good conversation. I hope everybody's getting value from this, by the way. And Jason, you and I have had coaching conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's here's the thing. Ideally, if you looked at, and by the way, for Chandra, I'm going to give you all 8 sources of lead generation again here in just a moment. So if you're missing any, no worries, I'm coming back to it. Ideally, if you divide lead generation into 3 buckets, prospecting would be one bucket, marketing would be another bucket, and repeat and referral business would be another bucket. Based on conversations I've had with you, I know that one of your major sources of business is marketing. That's where those YouTube videos live, right? Mm-hmm. Here's what I would tell you: when the market shifts, and we're past that date, being prospecting based is one of the keys to surviving a shifting market. If you'll master the skills of prospecting before the market shifts, you have a head start on everyone else. You're going to find out the market has shifted before everyone else. And one of the reasons is because if you're calling expired listings, for example, and you're looking up the expired listings every day, because that's part of what you do, or you have a source like Vulcan 7 that's sending them to you, you're going to notice there's more expired listings this month than there were last month. There's fewer for sale by owners, but there's more expired listings. Now that's telling me that we're moving away from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And because I know that, I've got a head start on everyone else. I'm proactively in front of the market. I'm getting listings where other agents who are 100% marketing are looking at their phone, waiting for it to ring. The phone stops ringing when the market shifts.
Right.
So I'm not encouraging you to stop doing what you're doing. I'm encouraging you to add to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just trying to figure out if we need to be during that lead generation time block, every day, if you should try to be focused on just one, like you said, just that's strictly calling. It's not trying to prepare mailers, put door knocking material, or creating content for YouTube or whatever. Each one of those 3 things that you want to focus on, what part of your day are you assigning to hours spent in that activity, I guess.
Right. I'm going to answer that question. We have to move on. And this goes to, the numbers that I'm getting from you and how many conversations you're having, right?
Right.
Conversation. So major aha for me. That lead generation time is smile and dial, smile and dial,
okay.
Smile and dial. It's nothing else.
Okay.
Making calls. Okay. all of the prep work that you're doing for marketing, for YouTube and everything else, you're going to time block somewhere else in your day to do it.
Got it.
You might, all of you might go from lead generating 2 to 3 hours a day to lead generating 5 to 6 hours a day in the new market in order to hit your goals. If that's what it takes to do it, or to succeed, are you willing to do it? All right. I had a hand up and it went down. So whoever that was, please put your hand back up or just take yourself off mute and talk to me.
It was me.
Okay.
I just had, good morning. I had feedback on that if you want.
Yeah, please, always. I want to hear what you have to say, Robin.
So social media has always been my lead gen, and a lot of people can't wrap their brain around it because they're like, oh, well, you're just playing on Facebook. But when I do my source, when I look back every year at my source, and in the beginning, it was open houses, door knocking, and Facebook. And my team leader at the time helped me. He did that exercise that you did, and we walked through that together. And we looked at the sources of my closings. And then to answer, was that Jason? What I was advised was follow one course until successful. That's the word focus. Follow one course until successful. Meaning, if YouTube is working for you, how do you make it not passive? How do you make it engaging? Like if there's people liking your stuff and subscribing, you should be figuring out how to engage with them in some way.
Yeah.
You can make YouTube. And if it's working, don't fix it. Like, obviously that's working for Jason. So then, yes, I mean, do what you said, do the dialing, do the numbers, it's a numbers game. You gotta do the numbers. But don't just like push off your YouTube and say it's passive. Shift your brain on it and say, how do I make it active?
There you go. Yeah. Great ad, Robin. Thank you. So I'm listening to Robin, and what I'm hearing is when somebody's engaging with me on YouTube, that's the same thing as a contact. And in order to convert that contact to a lead, I need to engage back with an item of value, with a call to action that's going to enable me to get phone number, email, mailing address, so I can put them in my database and put them on a systematic drip campaign to create value. So when they think of real estate, they think of me. All right, Chandra, 8 sources of lead generation. Your database is number 1. And I put it number 1 because it's the highest rate of return. And what's interesting about that is interviewing real estate agents at an average of 40 a month for the last 7.5 years, I would tell you that 90% of the agents that I interview that are in production, these are not new agents, 90% of them do not have a database. Shocker. Oh my gosh. It's the highest. Angel, did you put your arm up? Put your hand up? Yeah, there you go. Thank you for being transparent, girl. It's the highest rate of return of anything you can do, and yet 90% of productive agents don't do it. Now, on another day and another call, we'll talk about why that is, because there's reasons for it. And knowing why you don't have a database, why you're not talking to your database, will help us to remove those blind spots, those obstacles, so that you can create more business. And this is a fun way to create business. You never called anybody that's a sphere of influence and had them cuss you out and hang up the phone on you. Hopefully not. All right. The second source is internet marketing. And that includes lead aggregators like Zillow and Tiger Leads and so on. It's all internet sources. Also includes social media, YouTube. Anything that you're doing to generate leads on the internet is number 2. Number 3 is farming. Number 4 is for sell by owners and expireds. It's prospecting for sell by owners and expireds. 5 is circle prospecting. 6 is open houses. 7 is networking groups. And 8 is referral partners. And there's your 8. All right, guys, I hope you got great value today. Good. I see some hands up. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, always. We're here tomorrow. We're not going to be here on Monday. Day after Christmas, you guys need a day off, so do I. So I will see you tomorrow, and then I will see you on Tuesday. Remember, I'm taking reservations, signups, registrations, whatever we're calling this, for Rainmaker Plus, which is starting in January. It's $25 a month. It is not replacing this. This call will continue with no end date, and it'll always be free. So please continue to come. All right, make it a great day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:30.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, John.
Oh, Clarissa, I hope you got what you were looking for, girl.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have a great day, girl. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Have a nice day.
Good seeing you, Zach.